afternoon and good evening to you, the more people of the tube. Hope you're all today, hope you're feeling grand, all is well in your world. Hello there! Today, at this point in time, I haven't got a title for this video, so I'll just explain what it is. It will have a title by the time it goes up, but at this point in time I have no idea what to call it. So, what is this video all about? This video is basically what's basically the minimum amount of things you can use to sound like John Frusciante, basically. What's the minimum amount of gear you can have to sound like John Frusciante, and what is it? What are the kind of like key components of his, his sound, so to say? So, what I've done today, I've got two pedals. I've got my white 60s reissue Strat. The bottom strings are a bit dead now, but I can't afford to replace them at this point in time, so they're on until they break. So, on Funky Monks at the beginning there, they don't quite have the right amount of snap. They're a bit bassy. But anyway, so I've got I've got my white Strat pedals. I've got a DS2 and Ibanez Wah. I'll show you in a sec. And the amp I'm using today is the Marshall MG 100 HDFX. For a simple reason, in the fact it's got the Marshall tone that is very kind of distinctive of John's kind of clean tone, and also the fact it's got inbuilt effects, which is really cool because it's got inbuilt chorus, and I don't have to get use a chorus pedal because it's got it all inbuilt. And OD1 on the overdrive channel, I feel gets you really close to kind of John's sound. So let me give you a bit more of a close up on the pedals and the EQ on the amp. And then I'll play a little bit more, and I'll talk a bit more about like getting John's sound out of these two pedals. Okay, so down here we've got the two pedals I'm using. Obviously the Ibanez Wah. This is a real need, really, to sound like really close to John. You really need the Ibanez Wah, and they've started making it again, which is really cool. So thank you, Ibanez. Thank you very much indeed. And obviously, there are the tone suck issue on this, but I'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But basically, I'm using the Ibanez Wah today. This is where the amp comes in. So, yeah, as you can see, this is the rest of the pedal board. It's not plugged in. So none of this is plugged in at all. It's just the Ibanez Wah. Amp comes in here, hits the Ibanez Wah first. And basically, the dial on the side, I don't know if you're able to see. I don't know if you can see that, but it's up all the way. It's on 10, so it's on max Wahness, if you will. And then from the Ibanez Wah, going to the DS2, which again is the usual setting of everything on 10 and set to the turbo mode. So that far right dial wants to be at 12 o'clock, and then out to my guitar. So coming up to the MG, which I'll probably have to turn the camera off again in a second and give you a close up. Yeah, I'm going to have to turn the camera off and give you a good close up of the E. Okay, so coming up to the MG here, I'm on OD1, so basically this switch here between OD2 and OD1 is out, so I'm just on OD1. I've got a gain at 4, which seems to be ample kind of place for kind of like John cleanish kind of sound. Bass at 2, any higher than that it gets a bit kind of like flubby, so to say. It doesn't really sound right, and any less than that it sounds a little bit too thin and not quite warm enough. I've got middle, the usual weird trick that I have. I don't know why this is. It's just the way I always dialed in amps. Middle, treble, and contour are all on 0. So basically, they're all up there. I don't know what you call it. They're all on 0. I don't know if you call it off or not. But anyway, channel volume is on 10, and then obviously because the MG's got built-in effects, this is really cool. So I've got it programmed to chorus, and I've got the effects level at 12 o'clock. So that's really cool, and I've got reverb if I want it to do something like Venice Queen or Tell Me Baby or something like that. But yeah, that's basically all I'm using. So the clean channel I'm not using at all because it doesn't have the right amount of kind of gain. It doesn't have the kind of right gain structure. But OD1 is just right if I run the gain at 4. Well, it gets pretty close. So that's the EQ I've got, and that's the chorus. And so I've got reverb, which I will show you a bit of in a minute. So that's the EQ I've got, and let me talk about a few more things quickly. Okay, so that's the guitar, that's the two pedals I've got, that's the amp, and I'm going straight into my Marshall JSM900 cab, and I'm running it at 16 ohms. The 4 ohm doesn't quite sound right, and the 8 ohm stereo doesn't sound right, but 16 ohm seems to sound right, and I'm pretty sure John would run his at 16 ohm. He only ever used one cab, so whenever you hear John playing live, it's either an A cab or a B cab. Stadium Arcadium is more B cab, Californication is more A cab, so is By the Way era is more A cab. But John used the JSM 900 cabs as well, as kind of standard really forever. So that's the whole setup. It's the JSM 900 cab, the Marshall MG 100, the Boss DS2, Ibanez WH10, and my Strat. That's it. That's the minimum amount of components you need to kind of like emulate that kind of John sound. And I feel it's pretty close. If you do something like Scar Tissue. It's got the right kind of snap in the clean tone. I'd say my top strings are quite dead, but it still gives you that same kind of thing. And if you do something like Snow, you kind of get that attack as well. But oh well, it doesn't matter. It's okay. I'm not on stage in front of 50,000 people. If I was, I wouldn't have done that. I can guarantee that. And if I did, it would have been a... Sorry. Ruined it. Anyway. And also you can get bridge pickup sound. Yeah, so I feel it's really close. I say, and also like, you know, you got the, like... One of the things that I feel gets a bit overlooked about John's sound is when you're hearing John's sound through recordings, you're always hearing 3 microphones and 2 amplifiers, and obviously, you know, the key component being John. So you've always got to take that into consideration when you're trying to dial this sound on 1 amp, especially if you're using it and micing up with 1 microphone. You know, John's sound is an amalgamation of the Silver Jubilee and the Marshall Major, and 3 microphones. It's got 2 on the major cab. He's got 1 there and 1 there on the major cab, and then on the Silver Jubilee he's got 1 microphone. So you're getting an amalgamation sound of those 3 microphones and those 2 amplifiers, and that's what makes John's sound John's sound. It's really hard to get 100% if you don't have, you know, that right kind of thing. And also, you know, sound changes with the rooms you're in, and kind of like, you know, different temperatures and air and all sorts of weird environmental issues. It can alter sound. It's bizarre. Wind can affect the sound of amplifiers and PAs and all sorts of stuff like that. It's and heat as well can affect the sound of amplifiers. It can actually deflect sound and stuff like that. But that's another video. Let's go back to John. So yeah, that's something to take into consideration when you're trying to dial in John's sound. You're never going to get 100% because you haven't got 2 amps and you're not hearing 3 microphones mixed together. You're not in the room hearing. I don't know, unless we've been extremely lucky. None of us have been in a room with John Frusciante with those amps to hear them with our own ears in person. So we've only got kind of like the idea of, you know, we've only got the live recordings, so to say, and the studio recordings to kind of like, you know, get us an approximation of the sound. So, let's talk about the Ibanez wah tone issue. Okay, so one of the main issues that people find with getting kind of John's sound, especially with pedals, is the Ibanez wah tone suck. When you plug the Ibanez wah in, it tends to just drain all the tone from your sound. It just absolutely makes it dark, woolly, and it just does it. When the pedals engage, it sounds amazing, but as soon as you turn it off, it's like someone's rolled your tone off, and it sounds like that instead of, like that. And I say the key to getting around this, the Ibanez Wah does not like a clean signal. It doesn't like that sparkly clean on any amplifier. It has to be a little bit dirty. It has to be a little bit gritty. You can't run the Ibanez Wah into a clean channel. It just will not have it. So running it through the OD1 on the MG, I don't have that issue at all. It's still got all the we still got all the brightness and attack of the amplifier, but we've still got the nice kind of throaty Ibanez Wah. You still got that, so you've got the Ibanez Wah behaving itself, and also there's no volume jump because you're using the OD1 channel, so the signal is compressed. So there's no crazy kind of through the roof volume jump, which is another thing people tend to struggle with getting around. So if I play just a clean signal, as soon as I kick on the wah, it doesn't go sky high. There's no massive volume jump. It just does what it's supposed to do, and it's. And it just behaves itself. Same thing with the DS2. A lot of people have messaged me and told me about they struggle with the DS2 being on on everything on 10 to get that kind of John sound. And again, the same thing is it's the compression from the amplifier that controls this sound. So I've got everything on 10, as you saw, and it just gives you really cool. There's no massive volume. There's a little bit of volume jump, but you want that anyway. But it's not massive. It's not through the roof, and it's not harsh, and it's not nasty. It's big, fat, and warm. So. So it's really, it doesn't go skyrocketing through the roof with nastiness. It's really fat, really warm, and really kind of just got that kind of right kind of sound for those John Frusciante kind of leads, so to say. Just really nice sounding. You also do that kind of. So basically, that's I always agree that the one pedal you need to sound like John Frusciante distortion-wise is just the DS2. Forget the Mosrite fuzz, forget the big muff, forget DS1, forget any of the Electro-Harmonics English muffin, forget all that. The DS2 is really, in my opinion, the ultimate John distortion pedal. It's the one that he's had for longest, and it's just got that stereotypical sound, even back to kind of using kind of Mother's Milk kind of area. If you do kind of something like Stone Cold Bush, it still has that kind of sound. It's got the right sound to it, especially on the turbo mode, which is just like the standout feature. And there's no other pedal I've ever found that does. You can't emulate that sound with any other pedal. So the DS2 on the turbo mode is just, that's what you need, in my opinion. I really do. And it's such an inexpensive pedal that it's perfect. The Ibanez Wah and the DS2 are all the pedals you need. So yeah, that's that. That's the minimum amount of pedals I've got. Just 2 pedals, and I've got the MG. And again, the MG isn't crazy expensive boutique amp, which is really cool. So yeah, I'm going to show you the chorus now on the MG, and show you that as well. So this is the minimum amount of requirements to kind of like get John Frusciante sound. Okay, so that's the DS2. The reason it behaves and the Ibanez Wah behaves, as I said, is because it's running into the overdrive channel of the MG, and through it running through the overdrive channel, it's compressing the signal. So the DS2 and the Ibanez Wah, if that compression isn't there, they tend to want to jump out of this range. They'll go way as soon as you turn them on. But because they're kind of like imprisoned by the compression of the overdrive channel, they can't go any further than the actual signal, so they're just kind of stuck there and they behave themselves. So that's why you can kind of get away with running the DS2 flat out and the Ibanez Wah flat out, and you don't lose any kind of tone because of the Ibanez Wah. It's simply because it's not seeing a perfectly clean signal, it's seeing what it wants to see, which is that kind of semi-broken up sound, and you just get this. Still getting the nice kind of bright attack of the amplifier without actually kind of like sacrificing it for the Ibanez Wah. And like I said in other videos, you can do that thing as well with an overdrive pedal. If you have an overdrive pedal like a Golden Plexi or a Marshall Jackhammer, you can get around that tone suck as well with a pedal like that. So now chorus effect on the MG, because John, massive user of chorus, and coming across an original Boss CE1 is hard enough, and when you do come across one, actually affording it is hard as well. So I don't really agree that the CE1 is kind of like key. I don't think it's kind of like, it's the be all and end all pedal for John's sound. I really don't feel it's that, it's hugely important as it's made out to be. I reckon any kind of chorus pedal that gives you that kind of sound is okay. I don't feel it's kind of like, you need a CE1 or you're never going to sound like John Frusciante. I don't agree with that, and I don't think that's fair, because they're really hard to come by pedals and they're really expensive, and not everyone can afford one. Me included. I could never afford one. It's ridiculous. So the chorus on the MG built in does a really good job. I wouldn't say it's 100%, but it does a very good job. To me, it sounds really close to that kind of warbly John chorus. So. And coming back to the Q&A Wednesday with the Saturday Night Live version of the Chili Peppers doing Under the Bridge, where he's got his chorus on, it sounds like, I think it sounds loads like that. I feel it sounds really close to that. And when you combine that with the DS2, you get the kind of the outro bit of Saturday Night Live. That just sounds ridiculously huge. You can also do just, that's just wicked. it gets close, you know, and again, you're never going to be 100%, so just approximating it is enough, you know, as long as it kind of sounds right to you and just kind of sounds right when you record it or you hear it, that's good enough. It's never going to be 100%. None of us can replicate any tone of somebody else 100% because we're not them. We don't have their gear, we don't have their touch, and we don't have anything like that. So you can only ever approximate, really. But I feel that's really close, and that's the minimum amount of gear I can use to get John's sound. 2 pedals, the MG and JSM mono cab, and my Strat. And it's all fairly inexpensive stuff, and the leads I'm using are Stag, by the way. So again, they're really cheap leads. They're not expensive leads at all. So yeah, they're not. You know, nothing here is kind of like, you know, altogether it's fairly expensive, but in general, each item is not massively ridiculous. It's not, you know, you could probably, half of this would probably equal like a C1, so to say. So again, I'm just trying to kind of get that thing of, like, you know, that expensive gear that John used, that's fine, but you don't necessarily need all that to get really close to his sound, so you can kind of get that really cool, you know, the sound that we all know and love from John. That's, like I say, I'm not using anything other than what I showed you. DS2, Ibanez Wild, Marshall MG, inbuilt chorus on the MG, my Strat and my cab, and that is it. And Stag leads, and nothing's really expensive. The only thing is, I'm using a Voodoo Labs Pedal Power 2 to power the pedals, because I feel it's the best power supply ever. But I feel this is the minimum amount of components you need to get like a John Frusciante sound. I really feel this is kind of it. So yes, obviously, you know, this is minimum amount. You can obviously add like delay pedals, but you know the MG's got inbuilt delay, so you can kind of get that kind of slap back thing for. Just quickly programming, but I do feel the chorus is really good. I really do. setup, it's so compact, it's so small. Basically 3 pedals with the Marshall channel selector and effects selector, which is just a 2-button kind of a effect pedal. You know, it's really cool. It's a really cool compact setup for John. Obviously, like, you know, doing stuff like throwaway television is kind of off the cards because you don't have a step filter. Although you could kind of get away with kind of. Yeah, I suppose you can kind of get away without a step filter and just use the wah wah. Doesn't quite sound 100%, but it kind of, you get an idea. Don't forget me, you can do, I ain't got time to kind of like, you know, I don't want to bore you to death by trying to get tweak the delay in, but you can do Don't Forget Me, like, see, you do like reverb stuff like the chorus and Tell Me Baby. So there's not a lot of John you can't cover with just this setup. It's very, very, very cool. And also you can do kind of This Is the Place. If you go all the way over to the flange setting, you kind of get that. And get a chord. You know, so it kind of gives you a lot. It gives you a lot of job, so to say. That's a bit of a weird way of saying it, but you know what I mean. Hopefully you know what I mean. So, like I said, I do enjoy this video. I just wanted to do a video on like the minimum amount of stuff you need to really approximate John's sound, because there's I do feel there's a lot of a lot of people out there kind of trying to push the exact spec stuff that John uses on you. You know, you need this, you need this, you need this, you need this. And you don't need that. It's a case of you need what, you know, you only need what you need. You don't necessarily need a Silver Jubilee, a Marshall Major, a 62 Strat, tons of pedals, and John Frusciante's hand transplanted onto yours. You don't need that. All you need is gear that works for you. And I found that with the Marshall MG and these 2 pedals and my cab and my Strat, that works for me. It won't necessarily work for you. I'm really upset to say, because I really wish that I could say this is what you do and that's it, because not everything that works for me will work for you, and that really annoys me. I wish it was universal like that, but unfortunately we're not universal as human beings. But that it's finding gear that works for you, that you know how to dial in and it gets the sound you want. And if you want to sound like John, like I always do, then you need to kind of like have gear you understand and you know how to do it, and forget, like, you know, oh, what are John's settings on his Marshall Major or his Silver Jubilee. Forget that. That won't work for you. It's about, you know, dialing it in yourself and using your ears and going, right. I mean, always kind of like having an idea of, like, you know, if you turn everything to like 12 o'clock and then just kind of like cut things out where you don't want it, that's always kind of a good thing to do. But you need to really listen to John. Like, close your eyes and listen to John's sound and then listen to yours. And if you can, record it on your phone or in a video on your phone or through software or whatever, and just listen to John and then you, and see, right, well, John's sound is a little bit more bassy and a little bit more warm, mine's a little bit brighter, so I need to do this, I need to add more bass and cut more treble or whatnot. I feel that's really key. But yeah, but like I say, this whole video is kind of talking about to get John's tone on the minimum amount of gear, so to say, without, you know, going mental and getting a CE1 and, you know, a Marshall Major or a Silver Jubilee or anything like that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a bit of a long one. I might have actually kind of like just, you know, be talking way too much, but it's very kind of, you know, I feel it's very kind of close kind of sound, and the DS2 just makes me very happy, especially on a net pickup. You know, just sounds ridiculous when you drop D out. Ah! But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video on this. I hope it's explained a few things away. Stuff like, you know, the Ibanez tone suck and why the ST and the Ibanez wire jump through the roof volume-wise when they're cranked. I hope I've explained a bit more about, like, you know, using the overdrive channel, and obviously, like, you know, the MG having inbuilt chorus, you know, is awesome as well. Cab-wise, just let you know, these are Celestion 75 watt, 75 watt T, I think. I don't know. The ones with a black and white speaker on the back, they're just stock to the JSM 900 cabs, and I feel these are definitely one of the best cabs I've ever played through in my life. I love the JSM 900 cabs, absolutely adore them to pieces. Some of you might wonder, why don't I use the orange CR120? Simply because it doesn't have built-in effects, and I like to be able to cover chorus. So that's where the MG has one up on the CR120, and the fact that the CR120 doesn't have that, it's only got reverb, doesn't have those built-in effects like the MG, and because of that, the MG kind of, like, you know, is a bit more versatile in that way. So, but the, you know, CR120 is great, as we all know. But, yeah, anyway, I'm going to shut up jabbering now, let you get on. I know you're very busy people, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again very soon for another one. Have a great morning, afternoon, good evening, goodbye now. What can we do as a little outro?